Welcome to Live Into Your Best Life, a show where people learn how to go from where they are to where they'd like to be in any area of life. If you're looking for a new job, wanting to improve your relationships, or even reclaim your health, Skaya will share with you a simple formula that can take you on a journey to begin to live into your best life in all areas of life. Now sit back and begin your journey.
Hi there, and welcome to Live Into Your Best Life. I'm Skaya, the show's host, and today I'm here with Laura Best. Now, I just met Laura last week at an event I was invited to, and I'm so glad. She has created this organization called the Passion Collective. And when I walked down the stairs, literally, she was just shining. She was in her bling, and a few other people had their glitzy clothes on because it was a holiday party, right? A lot of fun. But one of the things that I really appreciated was when I walked up, she just came to me, shook my hand, welcomed me, and just this warm presence that made me feel like I was supposed to be there. Now, after getting to know a few other people and just mixing and mingling and then watching her in action, I was supposed to be there. I felt like I was part of her collection of people. And so as we got to connecting online, I asked if she'd be interested in joining me for a podcast. And she said yes. And there are so many really great things happening in her life that I'm excited to be able to share them with you now. But I want to introduce her a little bit. So Laura is the force behind Passion Collective. It's a global movement shaking up the way we think about work and life. I absolutely love talking to her because she's from England, and you'll hear that, and it's just a lot of fun. She is an accomplished marketing professional. She started her career in the UK. She's worked in marketing here in the Twin Cities, and she's worked with some really big brands. She kicked off the Passion Collective in 2014, and she has over 14,000 people in her organization. Passionados are what she calls the people in the group, and they're of all genders. She's hosted hundreds of events, and she's walked the walk by awarding microgrants to passion seekers in Europe, the US, and Africa. Now, she's got a lot of really fun things that are going on in her life and a lot of really great experiences. And I want to just pull those out in our conversation. So with that, Laura, thank you for making time to chat today. I appreciate it.
Oh, thanks, Paulie. Thanks for inviting me.
Indeed. All right. So how did you come up with the Passion Collective?
I'm going to reach back into the darkness of time. No, it was 10 years ago. I was working as a digital marketing consultant, digital marketing and digital technology for a national consulting firm. And much like you, and probably many of your listeners, your life, right? You're working really hard. You're traveling a lot. Very grateful to have all of that because it can be fun and rewarding, and we all work really hard for that. But I was a new mum. I had a 3-year-old daughter called Sophia, who I adored. And I could feel things starting to shift for me. And over a period of time, and there are a couple of, now I look back on it, hilarious experiences I had, but at the time they were not hilarious. I write about them in my book. I had a couple of experiences over a period of time, which really made me curious about, is this it? It was this strange feeling of wanting more, but not knowing what the more was, and also being so busy, stressed, exhausted, verging on burnout, that I had no idea, even if I knew what the more was, how I would actually do the more. Yes. I didn't know. There was nothing out. This is before Brene Brown was on Netflix talking about vulnerability, right? We went to happy hours, maybe occasionally, and we never talked about this stuff. So I wanted to rediscover the amazing women in my life because I felt quite lonely. I was often one of the only on the leadership teams of these companies that I was working at. And I wanted to reconnect with them and really just have the conversation about what it means to do more of what you love. And as I did this, I came up with the name Passion Collective very quickly. It just popped into my head. I would love to say it took years and years of research, but it didn't, because I was craving passion in work and life, and I wanted this community which didn't exist. So all I did was create a little Facebook group at the time, and I invited some of the incredible women that I knew in my life. And I just said, look, I just need a space where I start sharing things that I love again, whether it's art, books, whatever. I was just trying to figure out, like, what do I love? Because I didn't really love my job anymore. I was really good at it. I got good at the job. I was accomplished and I knew how to do lots of things, but it didn't light me up. I loved being a mum, but it was exhausting. So it really started as a Facebook group 10 years ago. We just celebrated our 10th anniversary. And now we've grown to something very different. But honestly, that's all it took to start.
Wow, very cool. And so who is it that you welcome into the group? What's the criteria?
Oh, I love that. Criteria. Gosh, that's a funny word, isn't it? I'm very known for come as you are. And you probably experienced that last week. People were asking me actually, oh gosh, should I have worn sparkles? Because it was our holiday celebrate event. And I was like, you can if you want, but you don't have to. It's very much come as you are. I wouldn't say there's any criteria as such. When I started Passion Collective, I was resisting the traditional networking groups that I had to be in, right? And you walk into a room with 150 people and you walk around on your own. So what do you do? Oh, I do this. And they're necessary, but very transactional. I also felt that they were very masculine, that just the way of communicating, the way of even being in a room like that didn't feel to me like it was natural. So with Passion Collective, I started it, I basically flipped it on its head. And I think you experienced it last week, where pretty much every event I've ever created for Passion Collective has been intimate. So 50, 60 people max. Many people are introverts or between the two. And I just believe that creates a better experience for everybody. And it's a lot less intimidating to walk down the stairs like you did last week, even though there were lots of people there, to actually feel like you are seen and you are welcomed into a community. Everything I've done has been intimate, and everything I've done has been very much come in the chapter of life that you're in. So we have had people who are in their 60s who have just retired, and they're like, I have no idea what my passion is because I've spent the last 40 years being a finance person or a consultant or whatever, or working on the shop floor. I have no idea where my creativity's gone or my imagination's gone. We'll have people in midlife who are really sandwiched between taking care of the kids, building a career and sustaining a career, and then maybe looking after aging parents.
Yeah.
And then we've also had people in their 20s, which was actually wonderful to see, because I was like, man, I wish I'd had this in my 20s. It would have really helped. But they were coming saying, look, I've been to law school or I've been to business school, and I'm starting to question my path ahead, not just for career, but for everything. And I'm freaking out because I'm only 28. But they wanted to come and learn from the other people in the room. Yes. Now, we were a women's community for many years, and that's how we were known in the Twin Cities district. But when we launched our grant program, that was 5 years ago, we launched our grant program where we gave cash and coaching to people all over the world. That really opened up my eyes to the fact that pursuing our passions is really this universal theme for humanity. I don't want to make it sound like so grandiose, but I read literally thousands and thousands of applications from people all over the world, all backgrounds, all genders. We had people from Ukraine who were literally in a war, applying for a grant to say, I'm passionate about starting this community for these people. Can you help? And that really opened my eyes to the fact that really this is a universal topic and a universal desire that can bring us together as people. And so to me, it really doesn't matter, honestly, who you are, where you come from, what your background is, what your resume looks like, what you dress in. It's really about acknowledging that you're seeking more and that you want to be part of a community, because a community is all about giving and getting. It's not about oh, can you just do this for me? Thank you very much. I'm never going to see you again. It's how can we see each other and lift each other up, and also share our experiences in a very genuine, real way. Because I think once we talk about how we're feeling in these situations, it's only going to help us.
Indeed. Community is about relationship building and connecting. And I think you hit on something that's different. Traditional networking was all about how many business cards can you pass out? How many people can you tell what you do? Instead of actually figuring out how can I support you on your journey. And so I love that you've shifted that. Now, microgrants. What is it? Who would want one? Just talk about that. What is that? 5 years ago, you started those.
Yeah, we don't offer them anymore. We actually closed them last year, but I'm happy to share how that happened.
Yeah.
As with most things in my entrepreneurial career, it was an idea that popped into my head. I wanted to find a tangible way to actually help people practically pursue their passions. So one thing that is a huge thing for me is something called practical inspiration. That's the style that I have, and hopefully what you experienced last week. There's always got to be inspiration. And I love being inspired by other people, and I think we all need the opportunity to inspire each other. But if we can't actually weave it into our days or our weeks, if we can't go home after an event and actually take an action, then to me it's all fine, but that's just a social event, right? It's a very different thing. So I was really trying to figure out, look, this is all good, Laura. We'd had years of creating these, some people called us a support group, some people called us a social group, or even networking for women, where I was like, oh God, I hate that. Really? Is that pronounced? Yes, we are connecting people, but how do we really make a greater impact? And at the time, I had an incredible business mentor, a guy called Jim Walford. He was a CEO of a company in the Twin Cities called Atomic Data. And he was a neighbor and a friend. And he'd been supporting me for a couple of years. And I had a meeting with him, and I threw it out there. I said, Jim, I want to start giving money to people, because I truly believe that one of the biggest barriers to pursuing your passions is money. It's pretty obvious. Mm-hmm. So he said, sure, sign me up, because that was Jim. He's, what do you need? What do you need? He's a wonderful man. Sadly, we lost him way too soon here in the Twin Cities community. But then a woman leader that I know, I was talking to her about the fact that I wanted to do this, and she offered up coaching. So her firm's called Keystone Group International. Jamie Tates is her name. And she said, Laura, you've got to offer them coaching as well, because you can't just give people money. You've got to coach them through. And I was like, oh my God, you're absolutely right. Mm-hmm. So through those sort of chain of circumstances and generosity from the leaders, we gave 4 grants every year, and it was cash. And also it was, I think it was $1,500 of cash and 6 hours of coaching with Keystone. So that is life-changing for some people, especially in some countries. We gave a grant to a woman in Africa who was creating a dance club in a refugee camp. Oh, wow. So $1,500 US dollars goes a heck of a long way to producing shows, to buying equipment for the children, to paying teachers. So I quickly discovered that microgrants could be a really effective way of helping people kickstart what they truly wanted to do. And then the coaching that Keystone provided was genius, because it wasn't always about the money. It was often about self-belief and having a plan. And so we were able to put our minds together to create this program. And over 4 years, we actually received more than 10,000 applications from more than 50 countries. Wow. Yeah, the first year, sorry, I would check the applications, panicking, because we'd maybe get 10 or 11. And I'm like, but we need some ones because I want to award these grants. And I did them every quarter. So it was pretty low. And then Bank of America got hold of the grants and shared them with their global network. And then Cornell University has an entrepreneurship program, and they discovered the grant program and shared us all over the world. So literally one day we checked the form and it had 2,500 applications. And we thought we'd been spammed. We were panicking, and then Gigi, who's on my team, she said, no, Laura, I think these are actually real people. Look at this. There's a person from, I don't know, it was like the other side of the world who was telling us about their passion for wanting to start something. So that's really what helped us reach so many more people. It became a very quick lesson in how to administer micro grants. I didn't set out to become a grant making organization. That's not what we are. Obviously, we don't do that anymore. But we learned very quickly how to create processes and systems so that people hopefully had a good experience. You can't speak to everybody individually, obviously, but hopefully people felt like they were acknowledged and that we could keep track of everything that we were doing. Yeah, it's exploded, but it was really good because, like I say, it opened my eyes to the potential of passion and the fact that for so long, so many have been putting it to one side and not prioritizing it in their lives because of very real reasons.
Yeah. I love how you found a need. You started small, whether you wanted to or not, you started small and you started to refine and you dropped that pebble in the water and the ripples started. So you dropped that pebble in the Bank of America or in the college and all of a sudden it spread around the world. And that's such a really great analogy for how powerful when you have something you believe in that actually sparks something within someone. It can be just this little pocket in Minnesota that spreads globally. And it seems when we do things that are in support of others, we're going to spread even faster. I love that.
I would agree. I would agree. It's so hard. I was just having this conversation this morning when you have an idea for something and you want to help people. It can be intimidating because there is a lot of judgment in the world, and there's certainly a ton of judgment on social media. I lose followers all the time from my LinkedIn account. So this morning I was like, oh, I lost someone. Okay. And then 2 hours later, there's a new follower that pops up. It's ridiculous. It's a stupid game. It's ridiculous. There's no control over it at all. So it is intimidating and scary. And often it can be quite stressful to do it in the way that I've done it and many other entrepreneurs have done it, because you do have to just believe that you're doing the right thing. You have to be very prepared to make mistakes and to forgive yourself for those mistakes and know that you're never really going to produce a perfect product right out of the gate. Nobody does. Very few, at least solo entrepreneurs do. But knowing that you're trying to do good and just learning along the way, I think is the biggest thing. And people will support you. The people who matter will support you, and your idea will be found by those if you just keep going.
And I think that's so important, the people that matter. And I love how at the event you talked about your concentric circles and how you prioritize. And I think this is something really great for the listeners, because for so long, many of us have tried to be everything to everybody. And then we get exhausted, just like you were talking about, or social media. It has created this, oh, wait, what do you mean? I didn't get enough likes, or I put this brilliant thing out there and nobody liked it. What? Not understanding that maybe someone else had something at that same time that hit the algorithm in a different way, and it has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with the system and how in some cases it's rigged. So letting that go is so important. What made you get clarity around, I'm going to say, the priorities of the people in your life?
Oh, wish I had that answer. I think I'm still figuring it out. I do think I had my 50th birthday this year. And so I do think that, however arbitrary that number is, it definitely gave me pause in terms of thinking about the people in my life and really reflecting on the people who show up for me in a genuine, authentic way. And I don't mean all the time, every time, because everybody has their stuff that they're going through, but who truly is in my inner circle, not in a rock star celebrity sort of way, just the people who I know I can really count on and who light me up and who understand me and love me for who I am. And yeah, I had some experiences this year, more professionally than super personally, but I had some experiences this year where people who I thought had my back did not. And they were rather tough lessons for me to learn, because I think we do tell ourselves often, it doesn't matter. Just you should probably keep in with them because you never know, or it's hard to deprioritize someone from your life. It sounds awful. However, how many times are you going to give the chance to somebody who keeps showing you who they are? Or even if it's one time that they have acted in a certain way, why give them any more of yourself if really what you're getting in return is not equal to that? And I recognize that this probably makes me sound like cold-hearted, but honestly, it's as an inveterate people pleaser, as an eldest child in the whole family, for years and years, I have given too much of myself to too many people and cared too much about some of these things. And I think it's not about caring less. It's really just about setting some boundaries with yourself and with others. If you're the person who always has to ping the friend to ask them for the drink or the reach out, and you're always the one who organizes the thing and follows up and books the restaurant, it's even silly things like that, that after years and years of doing that, you start to think, well, hold on a minute, is this really an equal partnership? And maybe it's okay if one person does more than the other, because maybe the other person is in a chapter of life where they can't do that. But I think having those reflections to yourself and thinking about the energy that you have with Passion Collective, it's always for me been about this buzz. And that's the name of my book that's going to come out next year, Born to Buzz. It's about, and hopefully you felt it last week, actually, in the room. There's a buzzing energy that I always try and generate. And I don't mean that we're all bumblebees buzzing around or it's this fake toxic positivity stuff, but just this excited, giving generosity that I think when you get the right people together and everybody shows up in a way that is genuinely caring and compassionate and two-sided, it is really truly possible. So yeah, when I look at, if you think about your circles and on the way outside of those circles, you've got maybe these professional acquaintances that you see once every couple of years. They shouldn't maybe be in your inner circle. The inner circle should be the ones, like I say, who love you for who you are. And these could be work people too, but friends and family who support you, who believe in you, and who do equal work. And they shouldn't hurt you. They shouldn't hurt you. It's not to say that people don't make mistakes, but typically those people should not be making you cry or making you angry. So anyway, that's probably a whole different episode, and I'll let you know when I figured it all out. But I do think that if we are to do more of what we love, which is what I'm all about, you have to protect your energy and you have to generate your own energy. And so it really matters who you care about and who cares you back, or cares for you back, I should say.
Yeah. And so when I walked into the space, and for a visual for the listeners, we met at a community space. You can rent to have meetings or workspace, things like that. And so it's a community space that we had the basement. And when you walk down the stairs, this area, I got there a little early, and I'm glad, because number one, I got a parking place. But number two, when I walked down the stairs, there were people, but it wasn't overwhelming. And later, after I hung my coat up and I came back down, in just that short little amount of time, there were so many more people that had come. And it was really fascinating because when I looked down the stairs, it was like, wow, a lot of people. And it was just like a magnet. You just were attracting all these really amazing souls, people, right? These spirits. And the energy, it's like the room lights up. I think that, and so everything is made of energy. And if you think about a radio station, for example, and this is a little bit of what you're talking about with your concentric circles, is I'm at this frequency and I'm going to either attract like frequency, or I'm going to have people in my life that aren't. And I think that's that rub you're saying, really reflect and see. Are they there? Are they the people who are going to have your back? Are they those people that are tried and true? I have a friend that we worked together at an ad agency in 2000. And then life happened a few years. We became really great friends, brought our kids together all the time. They're about the same ages, had a lot of fun. And then life happened. And we haven't seen each other for about 20 years. And now she's back in the cities. Her and her husband have moved back to Minnesota. And all of a sudden, I started popping up on her LinkedIn feed. And then she reached out to me. And now we've gotten our husbands together, and the four of us have gone out for breakfast and different things. And it's just so much fun, because that too, where people might be at that same frequency, be there for you. It was like her and I hadn't missed a beat. We just connected again and came together. But sometimes you do take a break. Sometimes there's an ebb and flow, and that's okay. And doesn't mean anyone did anything wrong. It just means that ebb and flow of energy and life and the season we're in, and be okay with that. And boundaries, yeah. I think boundaries is so important, because we don't protect that. And then it's like being a sieve instead of being a cup.
Yeah. And I think for me, what underscores it all is having a much better understanding of what lights you up. And if you can really get closer to what that is, which does change over the course of your life, obviously, but do you prefer having deeply intellectual conversations about books with people? If that truly lights you up, then go and find those people. If you love to laugh, I write in my book about missing laughter when I was working in one of my later companies and realizing that I missed laughter. Finding people who you can truly laugh with. What do they look like? And a lot of this, if you've been in the working world for some time, chances are you've probably shoved a lot of this down. You've fit yourself into a box that you need to fit into to pay the bills, and companies need you to, or your family needs you to, or whatever it is. And you've pushed what you want and the feelings that you want to generate to one side. Mm-hmm. And that's really what I'm trying to do with my work, is to help people recognize what truly lights them up, and to help them take the next steps into figuring out how to do more of that, whatever that may be in work and life. So I do think that the problems come when we don't know what that is. And even if you try and set boundaries and you don't know what lights you up, that can be problematic, right? That's where it becomes difficult to know, what boundaries do I set, Laura? And how do I say this? And who do I say it to? So do you know what you're looking for? Do you know what feelings you're actually trying to generate? Nope. Let's start there then.
But so yeah, how do they figure that out?
What's that?
How do they figure that out? How do people figure out their passion?
That's a very in a 30-second answer. I will try and do my best for you. I think I have a method called the SHINE method, SHINE, and it's in our course called Passion Finder. So there's a lot more information and resources there. I think you have to start with yourself first, which is the S. And you really have to recognize that you deserve to be happy and fulfilled in your life as much as you can. No one's saying that life is perfect. The subtitle for my book, by the way, is How to Spark Your Passions Without Quitting It All. Because it's not always about quitting your job or getting the divorce or doing the eat, pray, love thing and just, I'm just going to find this handsome person and be on a beach and it's all going to be great. Life can be really challenging, and we're all in different chapters of life. But if you don't recognize to begin with that you actually deserve to feel good in your days, to feel alive more often than not. And I know when I was in my quote unquote big career, and you'd been the same, Paulie, right? You go into these meetings and it's all very highfalutin and you've got big titles and the people are talking about all these high level things and you're really good at what you do, but you can still not feel alive inside. And you can still feel like you're projecting this sort of identity of somebody who doesn't feel like you at all. And the more you do that, the more you feel like you don't deserve to show up as who you are or to do the things that you really do. If you're a busy parent and you have a job as well, I speak to so many parents who are like, that's great, Laura, but I do laundry at 11 o'clock at night. Like, how am I supposed to make the time? And I'm like, but have you told yourself you deserve it? Mm-hmm. Have you told yourself you deserve to prioritize the things that you love in your life beyond the kids' soccer games and the laundry and the doing the Target shop and caring for people? Like, no one's saying that the other stuff isn't important, but if you don't recognize that you do deserve to prioritize this stuff in your life, then it's going to be very difficult. And then the second piece is really, like I've said, it's figuring out how passion feels to you. And everybody has a different way of articulating this. In the workshops I run with businesses, in my course, we go into this in a lot more detail. But 10 years ago, when I started Passion Collective, if you'd asked me what passion felt like to me, or what I love to do, if you'd said, "Hey, Laura, what do you do in your free time?" or whatever that is, I literally probably just would have given you like a completely blank stare and probably felt increasingly uncomfortable as the silence expanded. There was tons of stuff I used to love to do, but I wasn't doing it anymore because the job was so busy and being a mum, etc. So a lot of rediscovering your passions, or I should say pursuing your passions, is going back to the things you used to love and figuring out what about those things can you carry forward into your future. It's not true that we need to leave our past behind. Often, actually, the best clues about what we love lie in our past. We're hesitant to reach back because there's stuff in the past, right? There's things that we don't want to remember, or we just think. I had someone say to me, "Laura, are you seriously telling me that I need to do things that I did in my 20s? Like, I'd be so embarrassed." I'm like, "No, of course not." She was a 50-year-old woman, but let's just say you used to love, I don't know, going skiing. Your knees might not be able to take going down a ski hill anymore if you're in midlife. But what was it about skiing that you used to really love? Was it being outside? Was it the movement? Was it the trees? Was it the fresh air? Are there ways that you can adapt that previous passion to help you explore alternatives? And again, a lot of that is not possible if you don't know what you're really looking for in terms of how you're feeling. And I'm sorry to say it, but the only way you'll figure this out is by trying things. A lot of people get stuck and they're like, "So I think I want to feel invigorated with my passion." I'm like, "Great. What have you tried?" "I haven't tried anything because I'm not sure if I'm going to like gymnastics," or whatever the thing is, or horse riding, or joining that committee at work. "I'm not sure whether," how do you know? And there are also so many examples, I have many, of when we think we're going to love something and we do actually try it and we absolutely hate it because we're following maybe the wrong signals or the wrong sort of markers of success. And we do it. And I bet you've had this, Paulie, where you do something and you're like, "I thought I would really love that. And I thought it was awful, or I hated it. God, those people, they were not my people." And you come home and you're like, "Well, I'm never doing that again." But at least you've tried. At least when you move on to the next thing, you note it down and you keep trying to figure out what that feeling feels like for you.
Exactly.
So there's lots and lots and lots more that we could talk about. But for me, those are the two big starting points: is knowing you deserve it, and then really trying to explore what it feels like when you're doing the things that you love and doing more of that.
So there's so much there that has triggered a lot of ideas and thoughts and questions in my mind. One thing you just mentioned was try it, take action. One of the things I talk about in this podcast is you got to take action. You got to figure out, where do you want to go? And then when you start to get there, maybe you need to pivot. But the only way to know is if you start moving in a direction, right? And what you just mentioned caused to come to mind one of the first times my husband and I went out to eat, and we were just friends at that time, and he ordered something, and then I said, "I'd like a taste of this and this," and the servers, "Okay." And I don't remember if it was wine or beer or something. And they came back and they gave him his whatever he ordered. And he looked at me and he said, "You can order samples?" I'm like, "Yeah, because then if I like it, then I'm going to get one. And if I don't, then we'll try something else." And he said, "I have never seen anybody." And then he discovered you can order samples of soup too. And there's a few other things that people will be like, "Should I give you a taste? Would that help you make it?" And yeah. And that's all we're looking at, is a sample of something to see. You had mentioned you got back into tennis. You love tennis. And then you started playing pickleball and it got you back into that. "Oh yeah, I really enjoyed tennis." And
yeah, pickleball was almost like a gateway. I don't want to call it a gateway drug because that's really bad, but it's like a gateway to the thing that I used to do that I didn't think I had it in me anymore to play tennis, to be honest. I hadn't played it for 5, 6, 7 years. I'd never really played hugely competitively, but I absolutely loved it. And when I went out, I think COVID sort of just did a whole number on my body, like it did with so many other people. And when I went out to just knock around a bit, I actually did try. And I'm like, "I can't do this anymore." And I just stopped. And then going back to pickleball, which is, sorry, pickleballers, it's a heck of a lot easier than playing tennis.
Yes.
Going into pickleball and just realizing how much fun it was. And also for me, I wanted to hit it hard. I wanted to hit my tennis shots, and I was on a pickleball court, and that's probably not a good idea. And I was like, so this is probably a sign that I should maybe tiptoe out onto the tennis court. Yeah, it's so easy, isn't it? People like us to be like, just try things and just get off the couch and stop watching Netflix. But I write in my book about the amount of time, and I don't want to sound judgy because I love binge watching Netflix historical dramas or spy thrillers, actually, more than anyone. But if you actually count up how much time you're burning in front of the TV or whatever it is, whatever your choice is, it really is. You might be burning 20 hours a week watching TV right now is probably my best guess. If you think about it, a couple hours a night.
Yeah.
It's maybe 15, 20 hours. And even if you take 2 of those hours next week and do something a little bit different, you've still got your Netflix watching. No one's saying you can't watch. Trust me, I can give you a list of all the amazing historical dramas that you can watch on Netflix and streaming. But just take an hour or two and just dip your toe in, and you don't have to commit your whole body and soul to it. But tell yourself you can go back to the thing that gives you comfort. And I do think it helps. But yeah, I love the idea of tasting and samples and really seeking out ways just to dip your toe in to figure out if it's something that you might want. And also at the same time, you might also need to just order the whole thing, pay for the plate, and you might not enjoy it, but then you write off the $25 or whatever it is and just say, it's just a bad meal. I'm going to go to a different place next time.
That's
not
right.
to really string out the analogy, but sometimes you just gotta go in. Like with me with cross-country skiing, I thought I was going to love it. Terrible. I was so bad. I actually fell into a group of people. I slid slowly down this sort of very small hill, which I swear was a mountain, but we're in Minnesota, so it couldn't have been. And I just still remember the look on their faces, and I just think, God, I hate this. I hate it. I hate it. I hate everything about it. And if you live in Minnesota, you're supposed to love cross-country skiing. You're supposed to love these things. I bought the skis, cost a fortune. So I went all in and realized, no, do not want to do this. I'll sell the skis on eBay, or I don't know what I'll do with it, but at least I know. At least I know that it doesn't light me up, and I'm not going to burn my energy trying to keep up with these spandex guys going around the lakes.
That's right. That's
killing
right.
someone by sliding down no, it's not going to happen. So
I love it. I love it. So something else you talked about brought back I'm going to call it a game we played last week. And so it's Passion Bingo. And Laura had given all of us a page that has a grid on it. Things like, so life gets busy and we need to remember to celebrate the progress that we've made. And it was interesting because there was only one thing on it that I hadn't done. And then all of a sudden when someone, and it was let me find it. It was about creativity. And I'm like, oh no. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wait, I actually, shared my art was the one. And I'm like, oh, I haven't done it. And I'm like, oh, wait, I wrote a book. And
I was going to say, didn't you publish a book?
Contributed to a chapter in another book. And but when I saw shared my art, and it was just like how we take words, but some of the things that you had on here. So started a business, practice meditation. And I love meditation isn't just sitting in the lotus position going, but there's so many ways. So anyways, we went through this list and everybody in our table had filled out theirs and some had more things than others and we all had life experience. But then we got to talk about and learn about what each other had going on. And I remember when I got there and the gal that invited me was standing talking to another person that I hadn't met. I hugged my gal and then I hugged this other stranger and she looked at me like, wait, what? And I laughed. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Did I just invade your space? And and I said, because I'm a hugger. And I'm a Disney character, right? Like I'm a hugger. And then she's, I'm a hugger too, but in corporate, we've been taught that we have to keep our space, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, I don't do very well at that. I am so sorry if no, you didn't offend. By the end of the event, we discovered we had so many things in common. And so many parallels in our lives right now. And so at the end, she just gave me the biggest hug. And I said, see, I knew we were supposed to hug. But it's that you're drawn to people. And if in my world, because I hugged you right away too. And so when you're drawn, but I didn't hug everybody. And it doesn't mean that they weren't the right people. It was just that that wasn't the energy that I had going on with certain connections. Being aware of that and honoring what's going on for you in the moment is really important. And like you mentioned with cross-country skiing, avoid forcing yourself to keep doing something if it's not feeling right, if it's not fun. Now, yeah, at work, we might have to do some things that aren't very fun, or in our day lives, we might have to do the laundry, but it doesn't consume everything. And so find ways to fill your life up with that passion, what lights you up, and bringing those people around. Something else you mentioned, all the listeners probably live close to a town that has stuff going on. And most towns have free things you can go to. And often I hear people say, I can't afford to do whatever. Mm-hmm. But there is so much free stuff. And there are so many different activities. And with social media, we can just search. And within a 20-mile, 50-mile radius, depending on, or, hey, I think I want to go do this thing in Wisconsin next weekend because it sounds cool and I've never done that. And I've always wanted to go to that town or whatever. And so I just encourage people as you're going through the months and the years to think about what is it that you'd like to try, and try something new to see if it can ignite that passion again. Because like the ripple effect, when we light that spark, it's amazing how it positively impacts other parts of our lives as well. And I think that's one of the things that you've touched on here is.
And it's a good point about money, because that is a barrier for many people, a very real barrier. And also sometimes it can be a bit of an excuse. Truly. One of the best things you can do if you've got a phone and if you have a social media account like Instagram or Facebook is really go through your feed and find the people who inspire you and follow them instead. And I'm not saying you should cut off your mother-in-law or your best friend or anything like that. Keep the people you need to keep in there, but really think about your feed, right? Let's just say I love pottery. There's a whole story about that in the book as well, which is hilarious, which involves clay flying off and almost hitting the instructor's face. And I wouldn't call it a passion yet, but it's there in the background. I don't have the time or the energy just yet to build a shed in my garden and get a kiln going and learn all the stuff and buy the clay. I don't know. I'm not going to join a pottery club yet. I got too much stuff going on, but I still love it. So there are some incredible pottery, what are they called? Pottery people, pottery artists, potters, that's the word, who actually I would call them artists, who they stick a video camera on their thing and in 2 seconds they've built this most incredible vase or pot. And even that can inspire you to be like, and I'm not saying that you're going to build an incredible vase overnight, but the more you have in your feed that's making you curious about particular topics, there are so many opportunities for inspiration out there that do not cost a thing. And I really encourage everybody listening to just get that positivity into your feed. Stop with all the political crap and all the judgy, stupid, ridiculous stuff that we've all done on social media. Stop letting that consume your energy. Start looking for the things that are going to give you those moments to try. And then maybe you do spend $5 to buy the download, or you go and join the class for $50 to learn how to throw clay or whatever it is. But there's always smaller steps that you can take. And for the people who don't even want to join anything, what I often say is, look, your passions can be completely private and secret. Let's just say you love to knit, or maybe you're a guy who loves to work on his car in a garage at the weekends. That's just fine. That's good enough. You don't need to join a car mechanics club to be passionate about fixing up a car. You can still do it and get tremendous joy from it. And it can activate amazing parts of your brain that you maybe don't use in your day job. And maybe it's an hour or two on a Sunday that you do that. You don't have to tell anyone, maybe the wife, if you're doing it, because she knows where you are. That would be good. But other than that, it can just be yours. It can just be yours. And it's really, as long as you do it, that's the main thing.
Wise words. I love that. All right. So we've referenced your book a few times. Let people know again, what's the title?
Born to Buzz.
Love it.
And the subtitle is How to Spark Your Passions Without Quitting It All.
Nice. And Any idea when it's going to come out?
Oh God. Like I was thinking this morning, actually, Paulie, I'm like, what are the questions people shouldn't ask authors when they're halfway through the process? That would probably be one of them. I would really hope. The other one is, oh, I know a really good publisher that you should be working with instead. I've had people say that to me, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm already in it.
Invested.
Yeah, already there. Hopefully middle of next year. I'm learning that writing a book takes, we were talking about this just earlier, it takes a lot longer than I thought. It's been a wonderful process, but I just sent my manuscript in for proofing yesterday. So I'm hoping that maybe 3 to 6 months we'll have it. Yeah, with a bit of luck. That would be great.
Nice. So for clarity, we're talking mid-2025.
Yes, probably, as much as that pains me. I know it's going to probably come faster than that. But yeah, right now it feels like you know what it's like, Paul. You've published books. I can't wait to get this book in the hands of people. There was somebody at the event last week, and I said to her, I wish I could just send you my manuscript right now, because everything she was talking about losing her spark, not really knowing where to go next, trying to keep her job while also thinking about what lights her up. And the book is going to help people from all over, all backgrounds, figure some of this stuff out. So we have to let it take its course. But in the meantime, people can learn more about Passion Collective at our website, with passioncollective.co. I have my podcast, Passion Chats, where we talk to lots of people about their passions. If you're interested in a course, the course I launched this year is called Passion Finder. And so I teach it. So there's video lessons from me, and there's activities and little bonuses that you get. And that can really help if you know that you want to actually discover your passions, but you're not quite sure how to do that. This is a little kickstart program that will get you started. But yeah, lots of different ways to get involved. And if you're in the Twin Cities, we don't really do that many in-person events anymore. I used to do many, but now we have people all over the world. It gets a bit trickier to do the events in the Twin Cities. But in January, we have a virtual morning buzz coming up, and that's all about setting your goals, your passion goals for 2025. So you make sure that you're intentional about doing more of what you love, starting in the beginning of the year.
Nice. All right. So there was just a bing, and I've got a computer off to the side, and this is hilarious. So we're talking about the energy and things that kind of align and the synergy. It was a note from my account manager in London who just said, and that's the buzz on the street.
It's the word of the moment.
So I just thought that was cute, that little connection there. So anyways, very cool. So a couple of nuggets we need to think about. It's not making a huge splash, but rather taking action and doing something small can actually have a significant ripple effect. And not that the micro grants were small, but it was this idea, and then all of a sudden it caught fire and just spread, which is really, and became huge, probably bigger than you initially thought they might.
Yes.
And yeah, so that's, wait, we've been spammed. I love that.
Yes, like, what is this?
And just try something, because you never know. It might be something that you reignite a passion, or you liked tennis, you play pickleball. Ooh, that brings it back to life again. And you want to just smash that ball, where pickleball, no, that's not going to work.
No, I think I would have been escorted out of the building if I'd played another match, actually, but that's where I knew. I would add, Paulie, I would add something to that. And this is sort of what I talk about a lot. And I think this is aligned with what you're trying to do as well with your work. And I hope this doesn't sound overly religious or anything, but it's truly what I believe. We have one life here on earth. I hate to break it to everyone, but unless you're a Buddhist, this is pretty much, I think, what we've got. And we all think we've got all this time. And maybe we do. I'm not trying to scare anyone here. And I know we have to pay the bills, and I know we have to take care of people. But are you truly living your life? Are you truly living it? You have one life. Are you truly living it? And that question is not meant to freak you out or make you think that everything's terrible. I just think it's a really good reminder to show up to the class, even if you think you're going to suck at it or fall over or throw clay at the instructor, whatever it is. People are a lot more encouraging and supportive and welcoming than I think you would ever even imagine. And they need you. Like, we actually need your gifts and whatever it is you've got inside of you, because all the community stuff that you and I are talking about, Like, I wouldn't exist if people didn't show up to the Passion Collective event. I wouldn't be doing it's not about me. It's about the people who are showing up. I need everybody in that room to do the hugs and to talk and to share their stuff. So if someone's listening today thinking, well, I don't know, I don't really have anything, or I've got to take the kids to school. Yeah, but you do have something inside of you, and we need that. And other people need it from you, not in a sort of burnout way, but you have something to give to other people. And unless you put yourself out there, you're never going to know how that feels. And you're also going to rob them of the opportunity of knowing you and experiencing you. So it is worth the work, and it is worth just putting yourself out there, and know that people will catch you. They will.
Yep, exactly. And it all comes together, but it's about relationships, and it's about those connections, and it's about boundaries and protecting your energy for the people that matter most, and figuring out so your concentric circles, figuring out what does that really mean. Yeah, very important. And most people don't spend a lot of time reflecting. They just spend day after day going through the motions. And I think we're getting back to that. What's more, there's more to life than that. And so my dad was mowing the lawnmower exploded. And he was taken from us when he was only 54 years old.
Oh gosh, I'm so sorry.
And so he always said, live life to the fullest every day, because you never know when it's going to be your last. And I've always tried to bring that to life. And I've instilled that in my children as well. And just watching them live these full lives because one's late 20s, one's early 30s, and just that exuberance is so much fun because, they're modeling their mother.
That's excellent, though.
It is.
That's excellent. And yeah, you and I both know that there's, like you say, there's always the laundry to be done, unless you're really lucky and you can just get someone else to do it for you. I'm still working on that. And not every minute is going to be unicorns and cupcakes, is it? But if you get closer to the things that you love and the things that light you up, even the woman who was at the table with us, on your table last week, who eventually talked about those purses that she was making. Yeah. And she was very hesitant to start. And she was talking about, I do this and I'm a data person and all this. And then she talks about these incredible purses that she's hand making. And she lit up, didn't she? And then everybody on the table was like, we want to buy one. Like, where can we find these? And she was all like, what do you need? Even that, if that's an hour out of your 24 hours, having that experience for me is a wonderful thing. And the fact that she was brave enough to even just put that out there, I think who knows what will happen from that. So that live life to the full wherever you can, I think is really good advice. That's a good one, Paulie.
And she was the hugger story I was talking about.
Oh, she was the hugger.
So anyways, all right. So Laura, we're coming to a close here. If you were to give the younger Laura, let's say when you were in high school, or you're supposed to, what are you going to be when you grow up, Laura? Those types of things. What advice would you give that younger self?
Have more fun. I was a very hard worker. I was very driven. My parents divorced when I was a teenager, so there was a lot going on with me taking care of people and situations. And I managed to get myself into a top 10 university in England, which is awesome, but then that's a lot of work. And then I moved to America when I was 26, a lot of work. And so I would just say, have more fun, enjoy it. And I honestly think that's one of the big reasons I'm doing what I'm doing now. I'm working harder than I ever have done in my life, by the way, but have more fun.
Yeah. And you're having fun doing it, because you just light up when you talk about this. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the goal. And there's huge trade-offs. We haven't even talked about the trade-offs involved in doing more of what you love, and that could be a whole book. But yes, have more fun.
I love that. Very cool. So fill every day, every week, every month with something that's fun and fills you up and lights that passion, I think would be really a good goal for us. Yeah. Yeah. Set that intention.
Place. Yeah.
Indeed. All right. So Laura, thank you so much for taking time to chat and share your story and spread your passion. I love that. So listeners, if you like this show, please give us a 5-star rating, share this with your friends, and spread the love and create that ripple effect around the world. And let's just help people live into their best life one day at a time, one moment at a time, and help, spark the passion in other people's lives too. You never know how you're going to impact someone. So until next time, I'm Pollyskaya. Enjoy living into your best life and have fun on that journey.
Thank you for listening to Pollyskaya, your show host for Live Into Your Best Life. Check out the show notes and visit her at pollyskaya.com to learn more and continue your journey. Until next week, enjoy the adventure.